What's going on, everybody? Guys, I have an update here, part two to a story. Remember the story. The girl who emailed me, she said she was a female subscriber, and she was talking about how she met this guy. They dated for not even a while, they dated for a little bit of time. She got super excited and just wanted marriage. She like fell in love with this guy. She kept pushing him to marry her. She wanted to take things serious. He definitely was not feeling it. He didn't see it with her. She didn't understand. She pressured him to marry her. He ended up breaking up with her. She's all upset and blaming him, saying he's a piece of crap and blah, blah, blah. Guys, she wrote back. So if you have not heard that story, you don't know what I'm talking about, guys. I'm going to attach it here so you can listen to it. I didn't expect this to get an update, but guess we'll be updating this one. I'll play it here if you haven't heard it, but if you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, go down to the description, click part 2. It'll take you straight to what I'm about to read right now. Let's get into it. I gave my boyfriend an ultimatum, and it backfires. I told my boyfriend he needs to propose to me or we're done. He broke up with me. You gave him an ultimatum. It backfired. I regret telling my boyfriend that he needed to propose to me. I wanted marriage. We were together for 12 months, and that's plenty of time to know if you want to marry someone. I expected a proposal on our 1-year anniversary. He broke up with me instead, and I want to just jump off of a cliff. Kevin Samuel said himself that a man should know if he wants to marry a woman in 6 months. There is absolutely no reason to go 12 committed monogamous months with someone and still be on the fence about marriage. Yes, I feel horrible and alone and wonder if I was being too pushy, but I may have saved myself heartbreak later on. My ex Neil and I met April of 2023. We met at my niece's softball practice. He was skating with friends. I noticed him and his group of guy friends skating, so I wandered off in their vicinity just to take a walk. My niece was fine. She was with her coaches and other parents were there. Neil approached me, and he was so cute. I was glad he was the one to speak to me. He invited me over, and I watched him and his buddies perform some pretty awesome tricks. I was impressed. I left with Neil's number and he was asking if I could meet him at a get-together that night. I indeed did. I usually wait to call someone. I won't even go out with them for a few weeks to test their energy. I met him at his friend's house that night. From the jump, Neil was all over me. I have never put out on the first date, and I don't know what gave off that I was that type of girl. I didn't voice this to Neil, though. I didn't want to make things uncomfortable. So we made out often. I had no intention on kissing or having sex. I just wanted to get to know Neil. We all played games and traded stories, drank a bit. Neil invited me to the basement. I followed him, and we started making out again. He started to unbutton my pants, and I thought, thank God I shaved. We ended up hooking up. Protection was used. I felt a little bad, but Neil was hot and he was nice. Our next 3 to 4 dates were always at a friend's house or his apartment. I told him that I need him to start taking me out on proper dates. I was afraid I'd lose him. I told him I don't want another hookup buddy. Neil apologized and told me to get ready, and he took me to Steak and Shake that night. We shared a shake. That was our first official date. Every week, he'd take me somewhere. Walks in the park, bars, dinner. In June of 2023, I told him I wanted us to be exclusive if we were to continue having sex. He did seem to hesitate, which scared me, but then quickly said, okay, no problem. And he was asking me to be his girlfriend. It was so sweet. I cried and he called me a wimp. We began and it was good. Talked often and we became very close. Around the 7th month mark, I started to grow concerned. I had voiced that I wanted to meet his parents and I wanted him to meet mine, but he always had an excuse to why we couldn't. It started to bother me. I had snooped through his phone when he slept, but I never found that he was cheating on me. I just didn't understand why he moved so slow on everything and haven't even told me he loved me. I was getting fed up. One night, and this was at the 7 month mark of our relationship, I brought up the question, how long should you date someone before proposing marriage? He said 3 to 5 years. I was in shock and told him I refused to wait that long. I told him I knew I could see myself marrying him now and I would elope with him right now. We sort of had an argument because Neil thought I was crazy and said it takes much more time. We ended up making love after arguing. I was able to sleep, but I woke up the following morning upset that he didn't want to marry me now. I got up and I put my clothes on. He stayed asleep, so I started making noises to try to wake him up. I wanted him to see me upset and watch me leave, but he wouldn't get up, so I hit him with a pillow. He got up and was asking what's wrong with me. I told him that on our 12th month anniversary, he needs to propose to me or we need to go our separate ways. This idiot said, when is our 12th month anniversary? I grabbed my keys and I left. What an idiot. The rest of the day, I kept checking my phone for Neil to call or text. Nothing. It's like he didn't even care. I ended up calling him and he answered immediately. I told him that he doesn't love me and he is just using me. He swore that he wasn't and he did care for me. I was asking him, why can't you say you love me? He told me that I was being too much and maybe we need a break. I begged Neil to not take a break and I will ease up on everything. He was sure we needed it, and I promised him I'd calm down with the marriage request. I did follow with, but I believe at the 12th month mark, he should know if I'm worth marriage or not. And he told me, okay. Neil and I are both 23 years old. We shared the same values, but for some reason, I just wasn't good enough for him to marry. We continued dating, and I surprised him one day. I had him pick me up before dinner, but I was asking him to come inside because I had a gift for him. He came in and my parents were inside. I wanted them to meet them. I wanted them to meet the man I was in love with. Neil was not happy that entire date. He told me I lied and tricked him, and it wasn't fair to do that. He wasn't ready to meet my parents, and I meet his. I tried pleasing him when he took me home, but he turned me down. I told him he must be cheating on me to turn me down because men don't do that. He told me to get out, and he sped off. I was so afraid I was going to lose him. I kept calling and texting, but he wouldn't answer or respond. He eventually responded the following morning and told me that I'm stressing him out, and if I don't ease up, he's done with me. I promised him and begged for another chance. I can be honest here now, since Neil and I are over. I felt a certain way as if this relationship between Neil and I would end. So I fired up a dating app and met some other prospects, just in case. Neil never found out, and I didn't sleep with those guys until Neil broke up with me. But I was talking to other guys for the next 5 months with Neil. The day of our anniversary was approaching, and I was certain that Neil would propose to me. We had early dinner and went for a walk near the water. I knew it was going to happen. I was preparing how I was going to say yes, but when he stopped and looked at me, I saw it in his face. Neil didn't look the same. Neil told me that we are done. He could never see himself marrying me, and we need to go our separate ways. I was speechless and in tears rolling down my face. He said he'd take me home, but don't text him or call him asking to reconcile. He's done and wants to move on with his life. While on the ride home, I contemplated grabbing the wheel and turning it into oncoming traffic. I didn't obviously, but I felt defeated though. When he parked at my building to let me out, I turned to look at him but he wouldn't look at me and just kept his head straight. I got out, and that's the last time I saw Neil. Every day this month, I've been looking at my phone, hoping he'd call, text, or FaceTime me. I want to reach out, but I'm scared. I'm terrified. I think I'm going to focus on myself. I want to go to school, maybe become a lawyer one day. I'm too young to look for love right now. Men my age aren't ready and probably not even financially stable. Neil might have done me a huge favor. Whoa, whoa. Okay. Wow. All right. And you say the subject says female subscriber. Female subscriber here. And, all right, this is what you're going through right now. All right. Wow. I'm gonna be honest here. It seems like you were really, really trying to pressure Neil. You were moving way too fast with Neil. It doesn't sound like that, guys. You're telling him he needs to do this, he needs to do that. You can't tell somebody how to act. You can't do that. You know, it maybe I don't know what type of person you were. I do know while you were still in a relationship with him wanting a ring, you decided to go on a dating app. You admitted that. So I almost wanted to say, oh, you probably are a good person and you're ready for marriage or anything. But are you a good person if you're with someone and you're on a dating app talking to other guys? I don't care if you're not sleeping with them. They want to sleep with you and you're giving them attention behind Neil's back. What does that say about you? Neil knew something Neil knew something about you. He probably knew about the other guys and just didn't say anything because he wasn't sure he wanted to marry you anyway. When he saw that, he's probably like, whatever, I don't care. We'll break up with her anyway. I'm not about to marry her. You know, and it could be for any reason. He probably just financially wasn't ready, or he's 20. You guys are 23, but still, you were pressuring him. You were forcing him. You forced him to meet your parents. He wasn't ready. Why would you force all that? Let's just say he gave in and married you. Do you really think you would have had a successful marriage? There's no way. There's no way. Bringing kids into that situation. All right, part 2. I had no idea my story will be read. I met with Neil. I thought he truly wanted to give me another chance. His friend told me he only enjoyed sex with me and has missed it. And now I'm hanging out with Neil's friend behind his back. What? So I got the chance to read through some comments, and I'm not upset with anyone here. You all have the right to your opinions, including you, True Story. So, to set the record straight, yes, I was on dating apps while giving ultimatums. Clearly, if I'm giving an ultimatum, the relationship is rocky anyway. So why not have backup just in case? Clearly, it was right for me to get on a dating app if Neil was going to dump me anyway. You guys just want to hate on me. Really? Really? The 2 guys I met from the dating app were both fun. I built up the courage to message Neil and he responded asking if he could come over. So while you were... Okay. He did, and we had an explosive bedroom time. It was better than ever. Better than before. The passion was there. The worst part of this update is Neil calling me, accusing me of giving him an STD. I never had anything wrong with me, and when I went to the doctor, I did have it, but it surely came from Neil. Luckily, it was curable. I wasn't able to have intercourse for a little while, and I completely cut off the other guys I was seeing. I pretty much ghosted them both and stayed in contact with Neil. Neil and I talked, mainly text, but he would never come back over or want me to come see him. So I contacted a friend of his, and his friend, Richard, gave me the tea. Richard told me that Neil was using me and told him and other buddies that he just enjoyed intercourse with me and only used me for a good time. I was hurt when Richard told me that, and Richard apologized for Neil's behavior. Richard and I have already started talking. He helped me with some things to try and get enrolled into college. Richard has always been a good guy. It hasn't been long at all, and already Richard and I have hooked up, after I was cleared to do so by my doctor, and I indeed did use protection. What the? Dang, okay. I really liked Richard. I could see myself marrying him. He's not as attractive as Neil, maybe the opposite, but he's so sweet. And he has all of his crap together. Richard has a career and is working towards being a licensed professional. I was asking Richard what's going to happen if Neil finds out about us. Richard told me not to worry about it, and he's already fallen back from the group of guys anyway. All they want to do is pick up chicks and get laid. That's what Richard told me. I believe him. I know I dodged a bullet with Neil. I'm excited about going to college here soon, in the fall. I'm proud of myself. It's time to focus on what's important, and if a man is not on the same page as me, then I'm moving on. Thankfully, Richard is, and I believe we will work out just fine. What? Girl, I ain't gonna lie, this sounds like a mess. This sounds like a mess. You were talking to the guys from the dating app. You were dealing with them, and then you started dealing with Neil again, and then STD, and now you're with his friend. Like, come on. You just can't control yourself. You just like this drama. Let me say, if you want to move on so bad, why not move on with somebody else? Why move on with Neil's friend? Oh, I know, because you want to make him jealous. You want to get back at Neil. Oh, let me guess. While you're with Richard and Neil wants to see you again, you're going to see him. Because you still like him and you still want him. That's why you're trying to get him back. Ugh. Come on. Guys, if you want to send in a story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. I'll put it on the screen. That's truestorynation@gmail.com. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'm going to catch you guys at the next one.